I'm Jane Bruce, and I'm in the ensemble of Jagged Little Pill, and I understudy Bella and Mary Jane. I grew up in Ogden, Utah, and I remember in elementary school we did a lot with our choir teacher, and I was always really imaginative with my cousins and my friends. And in 5th grade, our choir teacher wrote an opera with my 5th grade class. And I just like desperately wanted to be the lead. I was kind of like an awkward, weird kid. But I was like, I want to be the lead. And the lead was a boy character. But I was like, whatever, I'm the best for it. I have short hair. Like, I want to do it. And my teacher was like, we have to let the boys play the boy parts, the girls play the girl parts. But it got me hooked. I played like the river princess or whatever. But I was like, oh, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing forever. And I called all the community theaters in the area after that and asked if they were casting anything and if they cast according to gender, because I thought the best person should just always get the role regardless. Yeah, and then I just stuck with it all of high school and middle school, and went to the University of Michigan for musical theater and then moved to the city. My dad went on a trip to Africa and brought back this like gourd, like key piano thing. I don't know. I remember I was really sad when my cat Mittens died, and I remember going under the desk in the living room and like crying. I was very moody and emotional, and like writing an impromptu song about Mittens the cat. And then I set songwriting aside for a few years and came back to it in high school when I taught myself how to play guitar. But that was technically the first song.
Do you remember any of it?
No, but it was probably sad, and probably there was some mewing, who can say? Maybe it was a great masterpiece, lost to all of us, but we'll never know. It circles around a family named the Healy's. They live in Connecticut, and they are all sort of perfect on the outside, trying to maintain those appearances, but all going through a lot of turmoil and change that they're not really accepting yet. And I think that, to me, the show is about finding vulnerability and forgiveness, and like understanding how trauma can affect us and live in your body for a lot longer than you sometimes think that it will. I think all of the characters are forced to kind of look in the mirror at themselves and their community and answer some hard questions and do some healing. The Heelys must heal. And
is that why they're called that?
Hmm?
I think I said, is that why they're called that? But it's like,
I think it's a little, who knows? And healing is hard work. I think it's a lot about that. The work that has to go into making yourself a better person or a more authentic person, or deepening your relationships with the people around you. She's incredible. She was really involved in the out-of-town tryout that we did. And like the last kind of week of rehearsal in the city, and then when we went to Cambridge. And she really, her main kind of contribution, I think, was so much about like the characters and everything being really, really grounded and true and like deep and honest. And she's incredibly wise and passionate and spiritual and strong. She's an incredible listener. I remember when I first met her before we went to Cambridge, we did like our final run through in the rehearsal room, and she saw it, and I think maybe she came to that and then she came to Cambridge with us. But I remember meeting her and just like crying, and I have such memories of listening to her music when I was young, and like that being the first time that I really felt like I heard a woman be like angry and express herself that way. And I was like 8 or 9, and would get mad at my friends or my parents and go sit in my parents' car and play solitaire with myself and sing Alanis Morissette, and so it was. And as a songwriter too, being in the midst of her music, it's challenging. It's really deep, and there are so many layers to her lyrics and the stories she tells, and I feel so affected by all of that. So she was very patient while I like wept into her arms after that first run through, and she continues to be nothing but like incredibly supportive and grounding for all of us. I've been really fortunate to sing uninvited at a few different sort of like press things and conferences, and it's just like an unbelievably well-written song. Like, it's just, I went to the songwriting thing this summer, and Andrew Lupa was one of the teachers, and we got talking about Alanis, and I was talking about how her scansion is so exciting, and she, you know, uses words that you're not expecting, and we got talking about uninvited, and he had to go to the piano, and he just started playing it because that intro is just so iconic and so, like, it immediately puts you in such an emotional landscape that's so deep, and anyway, that song is just, I think, extraordinary. You know, I think in commercial musical theater, I think having a story that lays out so many truths and has such a variety of characters and things that they're going through, I think is a bit unusual for like commercial Broadway musical theater, and I'm really grateful that like our show is hopefully opening the door for more things to come up to the surface that are doing that, because it's clear that people want it. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, I saw myself in this character or in this character or in this story, or just in the music itself. You know, I think what's amazing about our show is that you have a lot of young people coming because the story speaks to them, because it's about a lot of high schoolers, and then you have people who have been listening to Alanis since it came out when they were in middle school or high school, who are coming back for their high school reunions and with their best friends, or coming with their mothers because it's a mother-daughter story. Like, there's just so many, I think there's so many entry points for people in Jagged Little Pill, and that's the point of it, is that you take something from it and have a conversation with someone, or you think about the things in the show that relate to you and whether or not that's like a good thing, or if that means that you have some like exploring to do within yourself. And I think also, I think it's exciting for people to hear Alanis's music sung in a different way. You know, I think Tom Kitt's arrangements bring this whole other dynamic to the piece that's so exciting. Amazing. Yeah. I mean, the ensemble, we sing in almost every number, which is wild because, you know, she was a solo artist. Like, it's so cool that we're a part of that. Yeah, I also think, I mean, one of the things that was so amazing about the process is that we had all these people come and speak to us about a lot of the different topics in the show, and they came to a lot of the previews and were constantly reading the script and letting the creative team know, like, actually, this one thing is not completely accurate. You know, all of the stuff with the drug addiction, there was a lot of feedback about how to really do that right, you know, and all of the stuff with, you know, the assault and all of that being true and grounded in truth. And that was really powerful for all of us, I think. And I think that's another reason why people relate so much, is that
it's realistic.
It's realistic, and also that, like, you know, all of us in the cast have put in the work to be able to tell the story so honestly, I think. And I like to think that resonates, you know, that more than just the story, you know, I think all of us within the piece, I think, carry that message out into the world, or try to. I'm so grateful to be an understudy because it allows me to keep experiencing the story from different perspectives. I think we had a rehearsal a couple weeks ago where Diane Paulus came and worked mostly on some of the scene work, and some of the stuff that I, you know, wasn't in but just was watching. I was so moved and excited again, getting to like see so much of the material that I hadn't actually seen from the front since the rehearsal room. And even in rehearsals, there are a lot of scenes that we didn't get to really see because you're either like waiting to go on behind them, or you're already behind them doing something, or we were in the other room, you know, practicing choreography. And so I'm so grateful for the chance to keep like experiencing the story, and to see my friends and coworkers bring their own truths to it.
Have you gone on yet?
I haven't been on yet, no. And I didn't go on in Cambridge either, so I will probably have a better answer to the hardest parts about being an understudy once I like really do it. But man, I'm like itching to rip the Band-Aid off, and we've had a few understudies on this week, and they've been unbelievably just like kick-ass. So I'm like nervous and excited. I'm like, I want to try. I want to see how it goes. So it'll be great. Yeah, it's exciting. I'm the kind of kid who, like, I love learning so much. Like, even in this process, I'm like, can I get some notes, please? I love notes. Please give me more notes. I just love the process so much. And so I think the biggest thing I'm adjusting to, that of course you never expect when you're, haven't been on Broadway yet and you're so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about what the experience will be. It's interesting the days where it does start to feel like you're going to work. And that's not a bad thing at all. It's like, it's been an interesting thing to navigate, like the ways that you continue to find things within the show that make it creatively exciting and grounded and truthful, and all the different ways you connect with the people around you, when you're off stage, and continue to deepen those relationships. But that's been interesting. Like the days where I'm like, oh wow, it's as if it's like having a 9 to 5, but reverse kind of, in terms of times of the day. But that's been wild. I've never been in a show that ran for a really long time. So I'm excited to see how that keeps evolving and shifting for me. I started playing guitar in high school because I think I was like an emotional kid and wanted to be able to express that and also be able to sing along, and not to be able to explore that without needing to be like, hey, can you come over and play guitar for me? But I'm really self-taught, and I think I pull a lot of inspiration from the things that I listen to, and I'm a huge fan of Laura Marling, who's this incredible British singer-songwriter who writes in a lot of really cool keys and guitar tunings, and I think she's sort of like reminiscent of Joni Mitchell. Her lyrics are very poetic. But I'm also definitely super influenced by theater music. I think my music is a bit more like direct and storytelling than folk music or indie music. And so I'm interested in how those things kind of intersect, and I feel inspired by a lot of things in my life, and I always think about my songwriting as like I get pregnant with some emotion or some uncomfortable thing or something that I can't really name. Like I feel like a lot of times you feel something in your body and you don't know how to put words to it, and I'll sit down with my guitar and I'll start playing something, and that will get me excited, and a melody will kind of come out of that, and I'll sort of just start word vomiting. and then I'm terrible at like editing. I like tend to like birth the song baby out, and I feel so much better. I'm like, oh, that's what I was feeling, and then I like never edit it or touch it. But I also don't ever mind sharing it. I think that's why my music career has continued to blossom, because if someone's like, oh, you write? Can I hear something? I'm always like, yeah, sure. Like playing these incredibly personal, intimate, vulnerable things. But I don't know, I'm missing that filter, I guess, as a human of like, no, I can't share. I overshare always.
That's not a bad thing.
That's not too bad.
People like seeing that like realness, so that's why they're connecting to it.
That's true. But yeah, I mean, I've been so affected by Alanis's music and doing this show, and I'm getting commissioned to write a musical, which is super exciting, for South Coast Rep. And I wrote a couple songs this last summer at the Johnny Mercer Songwriters Project that I've talked about a couple times, but not named. Everyone should apply for a writer. It's incredible. It was a completely life-changing experience. It was the first time I've been somewhere at some sort of like camp or training thing where my only identity was as a writer and as a performer.
So cool.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was really, really cool. And I wrote a few songs while I was there that were more about like my kind of relationship to I struggle with like eating disorder, body dysmorphia stuff, as a lot of people do, and I wrote a few really, really honest songs while I was there that week, and another one also about an experience I had when I was a child that I continue to kind of wonder how much weight it actually carries and everything else that's happened to me. And so I think the musical will probably be about those topics. I'm interested in those intersections, like,
Sounds cool.
as a woman, that connective tissue between, like, why do we hate our bodies? Why do we choose romantic partners that treat us horribly? Not all the time, but, at least in my experience. I'm speaking for myself here, Yeah, I'm excited